Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Board Game Breakfast. It's a new week. It's a new day, and I feel fine. I'm glad to have you all with me, and, well, here we go. I got good news and bad news. So we'll start with the good news, because the good news is this episode's sponsored by Pandasaurus, and the good news about that is you have a chance to win a game. And this happens almost every week, so you really should show up and watch these. So this week, it's for the game Umbra Via, right behind me. I just found out this game won the Edison Award. Well, I already knew that, actually. I was just looking at the Edison Awards. It's a design contest that it won. And so this game here, we're going to give out 3 copies, and you can enter this if you live in the U.S., Canada, or Australia. All you have to do to enter this contest is email us at contest@dicetower.com. Put in the subject line of the contest, just put the word Umbra, U-M-B-R-A, and in the body, put who the designer of Umbra Via is. Also put your address in case you win. We'll announce the winners on Board Game, I was about to say we announce them on Board Game Geek. No, we'll announce them on dicetower.com, and we will... dicetower.com/contest, and you can see them there. You have a week to enter, and we got 3 winners. So check that out. And very soon, not this week, it's either next week or the week after, I'll have to look. We're going to be playing, I think it's next week, we'll be playing Umbra Via live, so you have a chance to see how that game works. So lots of things coming from the Dice Tower. And that's the good news. So what is the bad news? Well, unfortunately, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in the Tom Thinks section here. So I'm just going to give you some basic thoughts. I'm going to fill in more details into Tom Thinks, and then I'm going to answer questions about it later on at my Q&A that's at noon later today. But in short, Dice Tower East 2021 has been canceled. This is one of those times, folks, where the ultimate call, the ultimate decision had to be made by me, and I wanted to do it as soon as possible because of people making plans and things to come to the convention so that you could unmake those plans and things. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that means for you if you were planning to come. And at some point today, we're going to be putting up announcements on our social media. And if you are signed up to come, you're going to get an email that gives you details about it. I'm going to talk about some of those details in our video today, and I'll talk about more of them as time goes by. But this is, not an ideal situation, obviously, but there's also good things from it. It's going to allow us now to turn and plan and prepare for Dice Tower East 2022, which is definitely in there. So yeah, I know this is a tough thing for people. I know it was exciting and everything. We were the next con on the schedule, honestly, because I think every other board game con before us has canceled at this point in time. I did not plan to or want to. I honestly thought last year, when we canceled it last year, that we would be running it this year. And I have a lot of hope that things are getting better daily. I just found out that my in-laws got the vaccine this past week. Trying to figure out if that's good or bad. It's good news, okay? No, good news. But things are getting better. So we'll talk more about that later on in the Tom Thinks, okay? So we're gonna talk a little bit about the details of that. I want to talk a little bit about what it's like from the aspect of someone who has to make the cancellation and some of the stuff behind the scenes there. But I don't want to bring down this whole thing. So with that in mind here, let's jump to a contributor, and I'll be right back.
Hi everybody.
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany
From Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
and today we're talking about Tiny Epic Zombies. This is obviously in the Tiny Epic line of games from Gamelin Games. It all takes place in this mall that is getting overrun with zombies. Now there are a ton of different ways to play this game. There is a solo version, there's a cooperative version, there's a competitive version, there's an one versus many version, there's a competitive but having like one person controlling the zombies version. So there's just a million ways to play this game.
Yeah, speaking of having a million ways to play this game, they also did a good job, I thought, of utilizing all the cards. So all these character cards were double-sided for what your character could do, or if that your character was a zombie. The way that they did the search deck, you use it as a time tracker, but you also use it to supply the board. And I just thought they did a good job of utilizing all of those components to make the game fit into this tiny box, but still have a big game.
Which is obviously like the whole point of the Tiny Epic Games line. I think this was a fantastic entry into that line of games. We really enjoyed it, especially the cooperative version, which we love cooperative games anyways. So that was a lot of fun. Man, I tell you what, this winter I have felt a lot like a zombie, just totally just dead inside. I know that sounds dark, but it's just hard to get motivated when it's just the sun's never out and I'm working, whenever it is out, I'm trapped in a building where it's dark inside. So
With no windows.
with no windows in my department. So I'm very much looking forward to spring. It already started. The sun came out earlier, and
It was 15 degrees today.
15 degrees, which
It's
is like
almost shorts
a
weather.
Midwest heat wave.
It is. I don't have to wear a coat anymore.
I mean, want to go for a walk and do all those kinds of things. So I'm already getting excited about spring.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching us. If you want to hear more of us, you can find us on Facebook or YouTube. We are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. Well, everybody, this is Ryan and Bethany. Hoping you have a happy, healthy breakfast.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
All right. Just if you're watching this from the rest of the world, 15 degrees, are talking about Fahrenheit. Because I know some of you are thinking 15 degrees Celsius ain't so bad. 59. I mean, here in Florida, we'd be like, ah! At 59. It gets to 59 here, actually, frequently in January. But yeah, so anyhow, yes, I know it's cold everywhere. Sorry about that. All right, so we're going to go back 30 years ago, taking a look at an older game. And today I want to take a look at a game that won the Spiel des Jahres called Wacky Wacky West. And actually, it was originally called Drunter und Drüber. And I think the Wacky Wacky West was added maybe 10 years ago by Mayfair. Mayfair reprinted the game as Wacky Wacky West. You can go watch my review of it. This game is designed by Klaus Teuber, who's best known for Catan. Honestly, he's only known for Catan. That's not his only game. He's done Domain, which I think is a fantastic game. He's done several games. Although if you look at like all the games he's done, many of them are variants and card game. I mean, the card game of Settlers of Catan is a really well done game, and it's very different than Catan. Anyway, so he's a much better designer than that. But when you design something like Catan, you can pretty much do whatever you want. But this game actually came out before Catan came out, and it won the Spiel des Jahres. So when he made Catan, he was already a known designer at that point. So Wacky Wacky West, it's definitely a wacky game in which you have this board and you are building buildings on the board, kind of like in a line. It's almost like a snake game, and you have secret end game goals of buildings you want to be covered or uncovered. And there's also toilets all over the board, public toilets, and you are covering up the public toilets, and you don't want to do that. You have like a way to veto that or cause that not to happen. Does that sound odd? It does. Should this game have won the Spiel des Jahres? I'm just going to go with the fact that there wasn't many other good games that came out that year. or family-style games. It was a weak year. This is definitely one of the weakest games to win it. My ranking on this game is a 6.5. I found it amusing and interesting and eminently forgettable. I mean, 30 years later, I don't think this game will be reprinted. I could see a second version of it maybe coming out, but the theme itself is so weird and unusual, and the game itself is decent, and that combo worked in 1991 for whatever reason. But there you go. So I don't know that I would hunt this one down, folks. It is not in the Dice Tower library, I don't believe, and I don't think it is. If it is, it's only in there because I don't know. Maybe I thought the name was amusing, or maybe we want a shelf of all the Spiel des Jahres winners. I should probably do that at some point. But some of them aren't that great. Some of them just don't get played very often. Hello, Niagara. But Wacky Wacky West. That's the game we're talking about from 30 years ago.
Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex, and today I want to recommend an awesome worker placement game, Raiders of Scythia.
Raiders of Cynthia?
What?
Did you say Raiders of Cynthia?
No, Raiders of Scythia.
Oh, I thought you said Cynthia.
No, I didn't.
I know a lady named Cynthia.
Well, I'm pretty sure this game doesn't have anything to do with her.
I don't know. Cynthia's pretty entertaining. This one time we were at a buffet.
This is a worker placement game with that wonderful mechanic of place a worker and then take a worker back, which is great because then you'll always have a worker in front of you and you never have to feel alone. In Raiders of Scythia, you will be placing a worker and getting that benefit, and then also taking a worker and getting that spot's benefit. All of the different spots will help you build up resources. Those resources will help you go on quests. If you have the prerequisite number of meeples and supplies, then you'll be able to roll some dice to see if you win this and get the extra resources and victory points. You'll also have your own character board where you are adding crew warriors that will help you win quests and get more points. I like worker placement games like this that mix in another mechanic like dice rolling because it makes it a little more exciting, a little bit more unknown. You know, I don't want my points just all laid out for me. I want there to be some mystery for my points. I want my points to play hard to get.
All right, well, what's coming from the Dice Tower this week? Like I said, later on today, I'll be doing a Q&A at noon. Tomorrow, I'm going to be playing through Crimson Company, the app. So that's be a live sponsored playthrough. So I'll be doing that. We also have my boring unboxing. Me and my kids are going to be taking a look at the big game from Mythic Games, Super Fantasy Brawl. I'm going to be reviewing Groundhog Day, Galilean Moons, Cantaloupe, which is like a point-and-click adventure. One of my werewolf games is going up this week. Me and Z are going to be having a special guest on where we'll be talking about Ben, the host of 5 Games for Doomsday podcast, great podcast. We're going to be talking about our top 10 hybrids. That's going to be live this coming Thursday. Friday is our biggest review, the Foursquare review of Sleeping Gods. I know a lot of you are looking forward to that, so keep an eye out for that. I'm also taking a look at Athenaeum, Praga. I know people have been waiting for that review, so that's going up this week too. A couple smaller games. Check out our live stuff though. Every Thursday we have Board Game Breakfast live. Eric and our podcast is going up tomorrow. If you've not listened to the podcast, you should. This one we're talking about our top 10 games that start with the letter X. Actually, it's just my top 10 games because Eric wasn't able to put together 10, which is reasonable because it's definitely the hardest list to do, and I barely got 10, but I got 10. Take a listen to that. So all that stuff is coming, and of course, we got to mention, of course, the highlight of the week, tomorrow, 3 o'clock, Shoot Some Marbles, the best marble racing show on our channel, live. Come watch it. All righty, let's keep going.
Hello everybody, so today's game is one that I've had a real roller coaster. It's been out about 5 years and I've gone from wanting it to not wanting it and back and forth. And that game is Tyrants of the Underdark. So what was it that made me interested in the game overall? Well, it's Dungeons and Dragons. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I love the Drow. I think they're a really interesting race. I love the battles between different cities and within the cities. I just find the culture really interesting in the books, and I've read dozens of books. In fact, I just finished one based on the Drow. I'm really into the theme, so that was almost enough to sell it to me. But then I read it was a area control deck building game. I don't like area control games. I don't think. See, I guess I've not really played enough of them, but I know the ones I've played I haven't enjoyed. I just don't like being mean to my friends. They've worked hard to capture an area. I don't want to be the person that takes that away. I don't want people taking my areas away from me. So the area control I'm not really a fan of. But deck builders, well, I thought I wasn't interested in deck builders either. But as I've said before, over the last 12 months, Ascension has ascended through the ranks and become one of my favourite games to play at home. It turns out that I just hadn't played enough deck builders and I really enjoy them. So now we've got this, well, will the deck building, will that overtake my worries and concerns about the area control? And if you add on the theme, which was almost enough to sell it to me in the first place, maybe if I see it, I should pick it up. I do wonder, I mentioned Ascension, and I know Ascension Tactics it's coming out, and maybe that'll be a very different game, but maybe it'll be similar. But Tyrants of the Underdark, the theme's got it for me, I think, if they are similar games, which they might not be. Anyway, till next time, bye.
All right, folks. Well, so talking about cancellations. So I'm going to give you some information here about Dice Tower East and it being canceled, and then I'm going to talk briefly about how fun that is. All right. So first of all, from me and from Sharon Madden. Sharon Madden is the director of Dice Tower East, and so all the work and everything involved with that falls on her head, and she's the one who has worked tirelessly to get all this done. Neither she nor I wanted to cancel the convention, obviously, but we did. But let's talk a little bit about that first, and then we'll get into the whys. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you to Crib Royale. That's where was supposed to be at. Crib Royale has been amazing to work with. This is also affecting them. When we cancel a convention, that affects the hotel, because where all those rooms that people were going to stay in are no longer being stayed in by those people. This is something I've been talking about to various people. We sometimes forget. We look at these big hotels and big things and be like, whatever. But lots of people work for these places, and so those people get hurt when stuff like this happens. And we appreciate the Crib Royale, and we have we appreciate them enough that we've made a long-term partnership with them. We're going to be there to at least 2026. So, this is going to happen. And we also want to thank all of our sponsors and everybody who's involved. We have, of course, our premier sponsors, Portal Games, the Hot Game Room sponsor, Board and Dice, our VIP swag sponsor, Norse Foundry, and then all the different exhibitors. And so far, all the exhibitors are moving to next year with us. So that's exciting, and we're looking forward to that. So if you are or were planning to come, your hotel package rolls over automatically to 2022. And in fact, please, if you have a reservation in the block that we have, do not contact them to cancel and rebook. It automatically happens. If you do that, you kind of put a bug in the system. Now, if your reservation's outside the block, first of all, don't do that. That helps us. Every room we get helps make our the space that we play. That's what pays for the space we play. But if you did get one outside the block, then you do need to do that on your own. But please do that in the future. So there's a lot more about reservations and tickets. All the tickets are going to be transferred to 2022, which is just an automatic process. We're asking, and I'm really asking for you to allow us to do that. Now, for some reason, there's some sort of emergency and you desperately need the money back, or you can't make it in 2022, well, one, we could even maybe move it to 2023, so talk to us about that. But two, we can refund money. There will be some fees, because every time the money transfers, money gets lost in that mix. But we're asking that you consider not doing that if at all possible, because the more people who move over, we can have a good event in 2022. So all that information will be sent out to you in that thing, and a registration for Dice Tower East 2022. Everything's going to be the same for that. The ticket price will be the same, $125 for adults, and $100 for kids, and $225 for VIPs. And we have not a ton of tickets left, and those tickets are not on sale right now. They'll go on sale later, because all of our events for next year are in full bloom. Dice Tower Cruise, Dice Tower West, Dice Tower East, and Dice Tower Retreat. All those are happening in 2022, and the timing for the price, when those will go on sale, are staggered so that, for internal things that we're doing. The game space will have the same thing. You'll see when you get there, it's going to be fantastic. And the library, well, the library will be better in 2022 than it is in 2021. Why? Because it just gets better every day. so there's going to be more games there. Like I said, if you have specific questions about 2022, then I'll answer those questions in my Q&A at noon. Or, of course, you can always go to Dice Tower East Facebook group and ask questions and stuff there. Wait till the announcement's made there to do that, because that announcement will have some of this stuff. I'm kind of skimming through a lot of the details, but there will be some actual details. But we're trying to make it as simple and easy for you as possible. We thank everybody who wanted to come to Dice Tower East. We want to thank all the other people involved, not just people in Dice Tower East, but first responders, healthcare workers, and all these different people who are helping right now during these times. If you have a specific question, you can also email Sharon at dicetower.com. Like I said, she's a director. But I want to talk a little bit about the whys of canceling a little bit here and what canceling means. So, to cancel, people always wonder why stuff doesn't get canceled faster. And that's because there's a lot that goes into it, but it's mostly has to do with the hotel. I want to reiterate, in this case, Caribe Royale was fantastic to work with, but the hotel doesn't want to cancel. We don't want to cancel. We also don't know what the world will be like in July. That's the problem. You can't see the future. No one could. If you had asked me last year, I would have said full bore that definitely 2021 Dice Tower was going to happen, for sure. In fact, we planned for that. I wouldn't have planned for that had I not thought it would happen. Things could be much better in July, but we have to make the call now because we have to plan now. Publishers have to plan now which conventions are going to go to throughout the year. And people have to plan now to take time off of work and things like that. And that's not fair to everybody if we wait to the very end to cancel. Now, the problem is when you cancel early, there's more fees involved. And I want to be frank with everybody, Dice Tower East right now is losing me money. It didn't happen last year. It didn't happen this year. There's a lot of costs and a lot of stuff that goes into both those cons. It is just not very profitable to that point. I mean, fortunately, we've been very blessed. Different things have happened that we've managed to move through and get through this. But it's gonna. I'm not sure that 2022 is going to be profitable for us. At this point in time, we just want it to go off smoothly and have a good time. So, money definitely comes into play with all these things, and it's not so easy. You can't just snap your fingers and say, cancel something. And in any sort of event like this, you're going to get feedback from two groups of people. You're going to have a group of people who think that you should not cancel for any reason at all, right? Oh, we can do it. We can pull it off. We can do this. Whatever. I'm not afraid. Whatever that is. And you have another group of people who think you should cancel at the drop of a hat. But the answer is somewhere in the middle there, and we have to make that call. And it is not a fun or easy or cheap call to make. And this is the call that all convention people have been dealing with, and we're dealing with Dice Tower Con. I can't even imagine what the Gen Con and Essen and Comic Con people are dealing with, because they're dealing with millions of dollars, and we're just dealing with still a large amount of money in my opinion, but not in the vast amounts they have. And so these are tough decisions to make, but we sit around, we talk about it, we work with it, we work with the hotel, we talk to exhibitors, we see how people are feeling. Now, I'm hoping that this will be the last con that's canceled of any of the cons. I'm hoping Gen Con can happen. I don't know if it will or not, but I'm hoping so. To that end, I want to be clear, the Dice Tower Retreat is still scheduled. Now, there's a couple reasons. One, the Dice Tower Retreat's much smaller. It is in September, which is several months later, and we're hoping by September that things are almost back to normal. That is our hope and our goal. But it's also a much smaller con. It's like 150, 160 people, not very large. We have a few tickets for that left. So those you can buy right now if you want to. If you're interested in getting one of those, simply email us at kenny@dicetower.com. Kenny's handling that right now, and you can get on board for that and give you the information for the Dice Tower Retreat. So we're still planning to do that, but there is no other Dice Tower events this year. Although if there's enough buzz, I am considering doing a second Dice Tower Retreat later on in the year. Where and when, I'm still considering that. I'm thinking about November, just doing a small Dice Tower Retreat somewhere in South Florida. It could be Orlando, could be Miami, not sure yet. if you're interested in that, I want you to email me directly at tom@dicetower.com and just say, I would come to a Dice Tower retreat in November. And we're just going to gauge interest that way. So if that's the case, do that. And we're just going to gauge interest, and then we'll let you know. But that's still a decision for a future day. So, yeah, this has messed up a lot of things for a lot of people. But we roll with it. We got to do what's best for people. We want people to be as safe as possible. I don't want to be the cause of things happening to people. At the same time, at some point, we're going to have to get back to normal. It looks like the vaccines are going out at a nice rate at this point in time. I'm hoping that maybe when you... Here's the thing, folks. We're going to get to July, and there's possible things might be much, much better in July. And then you'll say, you shouldn't have canceled. But the fact is, we have to go with the information that we have right now. And I had to push and push to do it this early. Yeah, likely the most cons we would have to wait till May, but I wanted to help you all out, especially for the people who plan to come. Other people would say, why not postpone till later on in the year? Well, there's a couple reasons. One, it's kind of our thing that we do it in the summertime there. But secondly, everyone has postponed. There's a ton of conventions that are coming on later in the year. We're also not going to do a digital con because I'm just not sold on digital cons at this point in time. Instead, we've been doing our spectaculars, which I hope you like. The spectacular is going to happen whether Dice Tower East happened or not. So the spectacular is still happening in July, the summer spectacular, and hopefully you'll enjoy that content. We will see each other again at some point. It will be fantastic when we do. I really think the first con back, people are just going to be running around almost screaming with excitement because it's just been a time. It's gonna be good, and the anticipation hopefully will make things better. So either way, that's the information I have for you now. There will be more information, and I'll answer questions today at noon about it if you have specific questions, or like I said, Facebook or emailing Sharon directly. You can get answers to those questions. Yeah, I don't like not having a con 2 years in a row, but I do like having safe people, and we get to do our job here and talk about games to you. So hopefully that will work out. Alrighty, well, let's keep going here. Just a few more things left with this, and then we'll be back later on for that Q&A.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Dad, it's crooked.
Thanks, daughter.
All right, folks, let's buckle in because it's time for a new, likely recurring segment that I'm going to call
It's Out Now!
where we take a look at recently delivered Kickstarter games to help you decide if maybe you missed out. No, okay. It's to see if we have maybe some buyer's remorse. And the first game that we're going to look at is Canvas, designed by Jeffrey Chin and Andrew Nerger, I'm guessing, and published by Road to Infamy Games. Now, this project was backed in May of 2020, and it survived the year to deliver to backers just after the 2021 New Year. Canvas is a fairly lightweight strategy game for 1 to 4 players that will have you assembling beautiful works of art by collecting 3 of these transparent art cards and arranging them in a way that will earn you the most ribbons based on variable goals chosen at the start of the game. You'll then tuck those cards into a sleeve with the colorful background of your choice and put it on display to be admired by respected art critics.
Wow!
Player interaction can be fairly high, as players are all aiming for the same goals using the same symbols. However, art cards are supplied from the right and slide left to fill empty spaces. Taking any card but the leftmost one requires inspiration for every card you skip. This can let you snag a card you really need, but may then force you to take the unwanted leftovers for the next few rounds. In the end, Canvas is a pretty unique game that comes together to form a fun experience. Now, it's a little unfortunate that the art on these cards does play second fiddle to the icons on the bottom. It's also unfortunate that these cards come with a thin, hazy film that simply gets discarded when removed. It makes you feel a little bad for throwing all of this away. But if your interest is piqued, well, you'll be glad to know that Road to Infamy states this game will be available for retail in the spring of this year. You can pre-order your copy now, but, not until after your breakfast. Cheers.
All right, let's talk a little bit about a movie here, which is kind of a little apt since this week I'm reviewing the board game Groundhog Day. And Groundhog Day, the movie where you go through and do the same thing over and over and over again. Now, this has been done multiple movies, and I have to say, pretty much any time this is done in a movie, I'm on board. You can say, hey, I've seen it before. So today I'm talking about a little movie called The Map of Tiny Perfect Things. This is a 2021 movie. It's on Netflix. Yes, it's on Netflix. No, I lied. It's on Prime. It's on Amazon Prime. Sorry. I'm always watching one of the two of those usually. So Amazon Prime, and it just came out last week, and it's about this one is a rom-com of sorts about a teenage boy who is stuck doing the same thing every single day, and he's just kind of come to grips with that. He's living the Groundhog Day thing, to the point where he actually references Groundhog Day at one point in the movie. He talks about these different time travel movies. And one day, when he's trying to do the same thing over and over, he's trying to do something, he notices something different. A girl comes across his path, and she was not there before. So he figures out she must also be living the same day over and over again. He runs into her, and that's where the romantic part of this movie is. There's a mystery about her to some degree, but the two of them start looking for, well, tiny perfect things, like a bird coming down and picking a fish up of a lake at a certain point, or clouds turning into a question mark, and other things, which I don't want to spoil all of them, but they're trying to find all these things. This is a very sedate movie, as in there's not a lot of action, there's not a lot of comedy. The comedy is actually a little small in the movie. I mean, there's a few funny things that happen, but it has a lot of the same aspects of, you know, the Groundhog Days in it. And to that end, I enjoyed it. I liked it. It's, if you're not a sci-fi person, no, it's not. Is it on Disney Plus? Oh. Maybe it is on Disney Plus. I thought it was on Amazon Prime. All right, well, anyhow, folks, it's on somewhere. It says Prime Video here on Wikipedia. I don't remember because I'm always jumping around on all these different things. I thought it was on Amazon Prime. Well, anyhow, it's on the internet. I liked it, though. I'm not usually a fan of quiet movies, and this one is a quiet movie. It is a real nice back and forth. There's a lot of dialogue in it. There's a few, you know, the whole stop someone from running in the street before the car hits them. But it's all done not so much for laughs, and there's actually some serious things dealt with it. For example, the boy, his mom works at nights and is awake at night. So since he only lives during the day, he never sees his mom again. That's a pretty big deal, right? But the way he talks about it and the way he deals with it, I don't know. I thought it was good. I would show it to kids, actually, or teenagers at least. And if they could get past the fact of the action, there's a lot of action-less and stuff in it. This is just one of those movies that I think will be forgotten in a year or two. But I enjoyed it a lot. So that's The Map of Tiny Perfect Things.
Hello, and welcome back to Retro Board Game Corner. Here I have Going, Going, Gone, published in 1975 by Milton Bradley. This is a 2 to 5 player auction game in which
I know what to do.
How about 50? Now 5. I'm bid 55, 55, now 60,000. I'm bid
Sold.
Well, sort of. Let me set this up and show you how it works. To set up the game, you will shuffle these 8 collector cards and then deal 4 face down on the board. You'll put these cards here. You'll do the same thing with the blue antique buyer cards. Shuffle them and deal 4 face down. These cards are now out of play. You'll also deal 8 green cards to each player and give each player $30 and pick a person to be the first auctioneer. The game will last 8 rounds. On every round, every person will put 1 card face down on the table that will be put up for auction. Once every player has put 1 face down card, this slot is ready to be bid on. Simultaneously, everybody's going to yell out bid amounts until the auctioneer says going, going, gone to signify the end of the bidding. Whoever bid the highest will pay the money to the bank and take all the cards that he has just won, and then will become the new auctioneer. After the first auction is over, you go ahead and flip over the first collector card. If you have a match of one of the cards that you just bought, you can go ahead and exchange it for the more valuable card. Or you can go ahead and turn in as many cards as you want to get the cash value from each card. The cards that were bought in the lot, traded in or traded in for cash, do not go in your hand. You just put those face down in front of you. To start a new round, everybody will pick up their hand again and pick one card face down, and then you just do it all over again. At the end of 8 rounds, you're going to total all the cards that you have bought, except for the cards that you turned in for cash. You're going to count up all your money, add those two values together, highest total wins the game. Included in the deck, there's cards that are worthless. So what makes this a great strategy game is that you can play these cards face down and bring up the value of the lot. So the winner is just going to get a worthless card. Well, that's all the time I have for now. If you have a comment below, or you can tweet at me at RetroBoardGamer. And as always, may your rolls be high.
Hey, if you get a hammer in a game, buy it. You don't need to keep the game. Just get that gavel. That's what I'm all about. Alrighty, well that's it, folks, for another Board Game Breakfast, but we are not done yet with today's content. In just a bit, at 10 o'clock, Z is going to be doing What's Happening, and I believe he's playing Fury of Dracula. So that's cool. That just came out on the app, so I hope that works out well. So join us for that, and then I'll be back for Q&A at noon. So keep an eye on all these different things. We got videos going up all week. I need to start recording some of them right now. Thank you to all my contributors. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast on the Dice Tower.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production.